haven't done a one-on-one, but like
Yeah, for real.
we definitely, I'm definitely glad we found the time to do one. I feel like we have the same like feeling about sneakers in general,
Sure.
and just about the state of sneakers right now. I think you more for Nike and me more for New Balance. Um, very frustrated, uh, just with anything, being able to get anything. What's up?
Right. And it's interesting because like from a Nike point of view, like Nike's released these memos on how to get exclusive access, and it's been this whole thing. I've actually done numerous posts on social media regarding them, and it's so hard to believe it because it's so easy to get caught up in the fact that, sure, Nike's telling you how to get access. That doesn't mean squat at the end of the day, right? Like you're still competing against a million people for a certain number amount of kicks. And at the end of the day, I don't care what anyone says, we're never going to be happy. Sneakerheads are never happy. We are thirsty and hungry for more product. And the fact that we can't get it only bothers us more and pushes us and drives us to do more. Right. So it's a never ending cycle of us chasing this carrot, you know what I'm saying? And this
Yeah.
rabbit. And we're never going to catch up to it because there's just, for one, there's just not enough product to go around. And for two, Nike will never dilute itself to that point where everybody's going to get it, regardless of who it is or what we want.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that way too. Like I don't know. Like for a while I was like, all right, it's just me. Like I'm never gonna be happy, right? But I was happy. I feel like I was happier at other points. Um, when other brands were doing like really cool collaborations and it felt like they were more accessible, right? Like I don't know, like I feel like before there was like if I really wanted to get a shoe, like I could get that shoe because I could camp out, I could get up early enough, I could go to the store, I
Right.
could be there in time, and like I would have a reasonable shot at buying something. And now it just feels like you said, you're competing everything on every single thing. You're competing with a million other people for that same thing. And it's like, come on, like I can't do that. Um, I think a couple of friends, uh, like my friend Vinny, who's been on, he was talking about like he bought the Diodora Castellers, right? So like he got
Right.
them because Yeezys came out and everyone was lined up for Yeezys and no one was paying attention to Diodora and they were just kind of sitting on the shelf, right? And so like that doesn't happen anymore because I can enter a raffle for everything and essentially everybody else is too. And I think
Right.
that's kind of disappointing to me. I don't know if it's necessarily like an in-store thing that they could bring back and then people are able to really get shoes or really have access to things in person
Right.
more. But that is my feeling, is like I hate competing against everybody for everything, like because I don't want everything, I don't go after everything, and I don't think everybody else should either.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. Like that's one of the things that, especially from a Nike perspective, right? They came out and said, don't go for everything. Don't try for everything. Go for the things you like and your algorithm will catch you. Now that's a double-edged sword because like if you don't go for it, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Most people want to get everything. My biggest problem, I blame the manufacturer, the producer at this point, because like we don't even have the ability to enjoy a product anymore. Like it's not there. Like sure, a shoe drops. The satisfaction now is getting it. It's not even wearing it so much because by the time it arrives and by the time you get it, there's another shoe on the horizon and it's coming and it's being pushed on you hard and heavy. And we get caught in that, right? It happens all the time. We get caught up in what the next shoe is, not because maybe we want it, it's because we're addicted to the fact of the opportunity to get the shoe, right? Like sometimes you literally will get the shoe. By the time it comes into your hand, you're like, I don't even really want this. Why did I buy this, right? But it's because you had a shot at it,
Yeah.
and we're addicted to the got 'em, right? And that's where shoes are. Uh, I don't know where you fix that, right? Nike's never going to slow down. New Balance is not. They're trying to figure out a way to make more, right, to keep up
Okay.
with demand because they're in a very interesting place. New Balance, like they're to me they're number two, right, and probably the most intriguing brand at the moment. Nike's doing what they've always done, so it's kind of a steady climb for them. Adidas is doing exactly what Adidas does, which is fail forwards, and I don't understand it, at least here. But New Balance is like, their collaborations, their efforts are doing really well. They just don't seem to have enough product for everyone to go around, especially for the OG heads who are the OG New Balance heads who are now understanding what us old Nike heads, our big problem, this was in the early 2010s, we're struggling with, was the overwhelming demand for all these retros and cool shoes that we're dropping. Now you guys are understanding how we feel now that the hype has encroached into your territory.
See, I see the one good thing I will say about New Balance in the current moment is I feel like, and they still kind of do, is they still are doing like good GR, like non-collaboration products that are somewhat accessible. And so for me, like I like that. Like I like that product. Like just, I just got these, and like their
Yeah.
special edition, they're like, for the anniversary of the 990. And so,
Right.
it's not something that a general consumer would know about. It's not something a general consumer is going to walk into the store and see. But at the same time, it's not so massively out hyped that I don't have a shot at it, right? It's gonna sell out most places, but at the same time, it's gonna show up, and then I'm still gonna be able to jump on and grab one or whatever, So like I think I wish they would do more of that, and I wish they would do a little bit more honoring the members or the OG New Balance heads, that have sort of been in the game for a while, because I think Nike kind of does that, but they're just so massive, right? And their reach is so massive, and there's so many OG like Nike heads that like, there's people that just collect ACG, right? So like
Right.
that go back 20 years, right? And so like that person, there's 150,000 of those guys. Like, New Balance has 150,000 people that like New Balance, period. So
Across the board, right?
yeah, so like it's like you said, like they're trying to keep up with production and try to produce enough for everyone. But I do wish that they would do like a little bit more of the special product that sort of caters to the old school people, because the new people don't know what that is.
Right.
Like the new people to New Balance don't know what that is, know what things are, but they're gonna buy it because they think they can either resell it or they know that there's some sort of hype there. And I think it's a little bit more accessible for us, and if they could do more to make that product pop and just be like, not make you feel like, oh well, I'm just a normal consumer, like, because that's what sneakerheads want. We want to feel special, right? We want to feel
Right.
like we want to feel like we are getting something, not necessarily that nobody else is getting, but we want to feel like we're in the know, like
Right.
we got the hookup. Like I went to the store and I got this gem, and I feel like you don't get that feeling anymore, right? Like if I hit on sneakers, it's a million other people that hit too, right? Or
Sure.
there's
Sure.
200,000 people that hit.
To that point, like a couple things. So the loyalty program, like I've always said, I wish there was a loyalty type of program, but at the same time, how do you do that without alienating new consumers, right? Or trying to get them into this program, right? Where do you, when does a customer become loyal, right? Or where do they deserve it? Or how do you make that instrumental? Now, I'm sure there's a way of doing that, but I'm sure it's also a head scratcher for the company, because they're going to go through this hassle, and why should they? Their products are selling out anyway. They don't necessarily need to cater to us. We want that, absolutely, but at some point, the new breed of kids or shoe heads that are coming up, they're going to take over our spot eventually. So at what point where do you start and where do you end, right? I guess. So I don't ever really foresee that happening. I mean, we've seen like the big box stores like Foot Locker, and now they have their flex program or whatever. I don't even understand how that thing works, just because I haven't really participated in it for a while, because I haven't had to, luckily. But I would like to see something, right? Something that says you are involved in something a little bit more prestigious, or you've been involved in this process for long enough to understand what we're doing, and we would like to cater some of it to you, right? Which
Yeah.
would be nice. Um, but yeah, like as far as the mass quantity of shoes, when Nike releases everything, I know that for one, there's 250,000 other people who are going for the same product, and the likeliness of them wearing it out is going to be huge. I try not to wear the shoes that I get for at least a couple of months, if not a couple of years, just so I'm not wearing them around the same time. Even though there are some that I go straight to toe, like the neutral gray Air Jordan ones that just dropped. Like I've probably worn them more times in 1 week than I have any other shoe in a long time, just because straight to toe, right?
Mhm.
But I've always thought that I never minded that. Like that's never bothered me that more people would have the same shoe on, and the chances of them wearing at the same time we would run into each other. That's cool with me. The element for me was, how do you rock your shoes? How are you showing your individualism in an area where we the possibility that you run into somebody that rocking the same shoe is high, right? So that doesn't necessarily bother me. Like I enjoy that because I'm like, dang, he pulled off a good fit, or she pulled off a really cool fit. I like that. I pulled off a really good fit. Even though we're in the same shoes, you can tell that there's a difference between our personalities and the way we go about the way we do our things. And I've always found that interesting, because sneakers allows you to still be individual or have an individualistic perspective while being in a mass of product of the same product, right? Which is what I enjoy. You get to see somebody else's point of view and how they see the world based around their sneakers, and I think that's cool.
Yeah. I mean, I've always, I don't know if I've felt that way. I've always felt like, and maybe this is like my feeling about Nike and Jordan is just like I don't want to be seen in that and then see 10 other people in that,
Right.
because like I feel like the product that I've always ever gotten from Nike has always been something that other people are pursuing, and they're not pursuing it for the reason I'm pursuing it. They're pursuing it
Right.
because it's like a status symbol to them. And I never, I've always wanted to stand out. And so like it's it's always cooler to me. And this is probably like a weird thing for me, is like I love to see people in public rocking like 990s, like gray 990s. Like I'm at the gym and I see like this old guy wearing 990 V5s, and I'm like, that's kind of dope because he's so low key, but that shoe is dope, like, right? And no one else is thinking that. But then I see like somebody in Air Jordan 6s, and I'm like, all right, like I don't know what to think of that, right? Like I'm like, it didn't, I don't know, it doesn't spark anything anymore, not the way that it used to. It used to like spark some like really cool feelings. Like if I see once in a while, I'll see infrared 6s and I'll be like, oh, that's dope. Like, like I like the fit or whatever. And this person is wearing them and they're very clean. So I know he knows what's up. But like if you see like, I don't know, some Jordan 6 that like the UNC ones, right? Like a few years ago, I see people at the gym. I saw some guy at the gym wearing those, and it's like, I don't know if you have respect for shoes on the same level that I do, but I know the 990 guy doesn't either. But I feel like he had to do like some more mental gymnastics of getting that shoe than you did to get the Jordan. You got the Jordan because you wanted to flex. He got the Jordan because he wanted, or the 990 because he wanted to be comfortable. And I kind of respect that. I wanted to be comfortable a
Sure.
little bit more than the flex, right? So I don't know. It's weird. It's very weird to me because I think about shoes in like more of like a utilitarian, like what are they using it for? Why did they buy this? And I think about that when I buy something or when I see someone else wear it, because I'm like, why did they buy this? And like, because I think that if I know why you bought that, or I can extrapolate that really easily, then when I wear that shoe, that's what people are thinking about me, right? Like if I buy
Right.
a Jordan 1, I know that people know that I'm trying to flex, right? Because I bought a Jordan 1. And so like I don't always want to flex, and I'm not always trying to
Right.
flex that. Like, and so that's what makes it harder for me to go after a Nike than like a New Balance or something, because I feel like that's what I feel like. And I'm like, I like to flex, but not all the time.
But it feels like the New Balance is on the precipice of being a flex, especially
It
a
is, yeah.
gray nine. Like if you're rocking, when I see a guy wearing a gray 990, a gray 997, like if it's an all gray shoe, I feel like you're personally attacking me because I don't have one, right? You know what I'm saying? Like dead ass. And I'm like, what are you trying to say, Pops? You know what I'm saying? Like, are you talking to me? No, no, I'm just
If
kidding.
they're
But
dirty, if they're dirty, if
it,
they're dirty, if there's white, if there's dirt on the midsole, if that white is scuffed, then you know he's not trying to say anything.
he's not trying to
If
say
it's
right.
clean and crispy, you know he's trying to subtly.
But I guess, and that's the thing for me now. Like when I see somebody rocking New Balance, I don't automatically get that that nonchalant 574 that people wore in high school, or that non-shoe people are like, this is a cool shoe, I'll pick this off the shelf at finish line. Right now I see a guy wearing 990s and I'm like, he knows. I see a guy in 997s, I'm like, he understands. Like this is,
Yeah.
you're not a casual shoe guy here. You're wearing something, and you're wearing something. You just maybe not be saying it out loud like the Jordan 1 guy over there, but you're doing it too, right?
It's
We're
true.
just on
Yeah.
different levels because it's caught up, right? 10 years ago, yeah, we were on two different spectrums, two different worlds. We weren't, if I saw your New Balance 990s, I'm like, I wouldn't have noticed it, right? Nearly as much. Now we're here. I see you. If I see a shoe, if it's a big N on it, I'm gonna look, and then I'm gonna wonder what shoe that is. And then I'm gonna find out. I'm gonna realize what shoe that is, and then I'm gonna make a decision about what I think of you as a sneakerhead, right? Because
Yeah.
I'm like, not in the you're a shitty person. It's more like you have a Kith 997 on. You didn't get those easily by walking into the New Balance store in Highland Park. You did some work to get there. You're a sneakerhead. You know what you're doing. You're
Yeah.
flexing, and
Yeah.
that's cool. Good for you, sir. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
so like I no longer see it that way. I now see the New Balance and Nike on the same level. Now, are they on the same level? Depends on who you ask. No, that when people are trying to flex, and a lot of people are going to flex Jordans because Jordans are synonymous with a flex now. New Balance are not, unless you're in the know. And if you're in the know, you know that that's a flex. Like I see your collection, and I'm like, Dave, stop flexing on me.
But
And
I
you have
think
17 pairs of all gray New Balances. You're saying something.
But I think so. I think the flex with New Balance is the collaborations now, or at least to me it is, because I don't. Those two worlds seem to not collide, right?
Right.
The people that are buying the Salehis aren't buying the GR,
Right. Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
so like to me, I'm like, you're not, and this is me, right? This is just me. You're not committed to the brand. Like you're not committed to New Balance. You're committed
You're
to,
an old head, Dave. You're old heading right now.
I'm just saying, like you're committed to like because for me, I don't know. Like I think, again, going back to like I bought this for I bought this New Balance for I bought it for comfort, or I bought it because, the colorway or whatever. Like if you're wearing a pair of Salehis, or you own a pair of Salehis, and you went and you bought them, like you said, you had to put in some work to get that. And so
Absolutely.
and so for you, it's not about the comfort. It's not about
Absolutely.
necessarily. I mean, it might be about the colorway, but you put in a lot of work for just the colorway, right?
Sure.
For me, it's funny because like I've been frustrated with their collaborations and how hard they have become to get.
Sure.
And um when a collaboration comes out, I want it, right?
Right.
And I'll try and I'll do whatever I can to get it. But the feeling of like, man, I missed that goes away quicker because so many people flex them, and because so many people
Right.
are like pursuing them. So like the Salehis, I really like that shoe. The Bodega, I really, really like that shoe. I missed on both of those. And so like I was really it hurt. I was in my group chat talking shit like the day after, right? And so and I was kind of salty about it. But then the week after that was I'm looking on Instagram and everybody's posting it. Everyone has them. And then like all these
Right.
celebrities are posting them. And for
Right.
me, that kind of killed it, right? It's like, well, I'm not so upset that that I didn't get a pair. Like
Yeah.
I'm kind of like, all right, you know. And so,
But see,
um,
there's a thing, and this is the part that always bums me out, because you really like the shoe, and we let other people's perspective ruin it for us, not because of anything that has to do with us, but it's because other people are showing off the shoe, and I don't necessarily care for that, and I have to pull myself out of that, because you're starting to see what a lot of us Nike heads had to deal with for a long time, which is everybody getting in, and Nike's becoming overly cool. And this was before street culture even became a thing. And social media plays a big role in it, especially what you just said, is you being able to see everybody rocking that shoe, everybody putting it out there, everybody flexing that shoe has become so easy. Now you just open your phone, bam, you got 10 people with the Salakis, 10 people telling you they got them. There's a little bit of salt in the wound. There's a little bit of oversaturation of the product itself because it's easily accessible to see beforehand. But have you seen anybody in public actually wearing that shoe yet? No, not because they're not doing it. It's just because you don't see it, because it's not overtly in your face like your phone is, right? So like I still have yet to see somebody wearing the same shoe I have. And I have a million fucking pairs of shoes, and I go out there and I don't run into many people. That worry that we're gonna have the same shoe out has never ever happened, except in middle school, and we all had the same cool Jordans because there was one shoe that dropped and we all got one pair of school shoes, right?
yeah,
That's the only time it's ever happened. So like social media plays a big, big, big part in how we see and how we are deflated or inflated on a product, right? Like if the unions hadn't been in your face, the Soleils hadn't been in your face and see how cool they were and how much we like the colors, et cetera, have cared that much about the shoe had we not seen it like that. If you walked into the store and you saw the Soleil sitting there, or you saw the Union sitting there, and you're like, you didn't know jack dick about them, right? Would you have liked that shoe? We don't know, right? Because we haven't seen that. Or now, because everybody else shows you they've had them, and granted, if you're looking at your social media page and you see 20 people post about them, that's only 20 people. Those 20 people are scattered around the world. You know, who knows where they are? But that deflated you, even though you may be the only person in your 50-mile area that has that shoe, and the chances of you seeing anybody else wear it is minimal. But at the same time, you've let somebody else affect your decision based on the things you like, all because social media just shoves it down your throat on both sides, pre and both.
yeah. I mean, this this was like a question that I was gonna ask you that I really was curious about. Was we kind of batted around a little bit online with people I talk to, is just the idea that Instagram has kind of killed sneakers, right?
Sure.
Um,
Sure.
I'm kind of like for me, I don't care about a shoe that I can't wear. I like I just don't, right? But at the same time, um, like you said, if I see it online, I see a multitude of people wearing it, it's more likely to turn me off from it because I don't want to be seen as everybody else. And so
Really.
like I feel like, Instagram is specific, if a shoe comes out, if a shoe drops and nobody snaps a picture of it, like, is it still hot? That's the
That's a good
question, right?
question. That's
Because
a good question.
there's a
Absolutely.
ton of stuff that drops, and I don't ever remember seeing like it on Instagram. I don't ever remember seeing it get seeded or somebody flex with it.
Absolutely.
And like I find it and I'm like, oh, this is a gem. This is dope. Like,
Yep.
and it's great. Like I feel like that's the feeling. That's the new feeling, right? The new feeling is finding that shoe that hasn't been on Instagram like all over the place, that
Right.
you found, you bought for retail, and that
Right.
now like you flex and everyone's like, oh man, that's dope. Where'd you get that? What's that? Right?
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's like and it's, you've got that side of it. Then you've also got, like we were talking about, the got 'em, right? Like the flex is finding a shoe that nobody else wants and watching it become a really cool shoe. We've seen that happen,
Mhm.
with Air Jordan 1 lows. Nobody wanted Jordan lows forever. I will wear lows to people because they weren't a thing and nobody wanted them. There was no value to them, and I would give them away. Now all of a sudden, the Air Jordan 1 low is the hype, right? All people want the Jordan 1 low, whether they say they do or they don't. But it's come back. But we were addicted. We now are looking for the shoe that nobody knows about, and to show that we were able to get the shoe that everybody wanted. Those are the things that those are the flexes. It's not so much that you have them or that you're rocking them. There are very few people who will get it, put it on their feet and show you their style and everything like that, and then move on to the next shoe and move on to the next shoe. And like everything has a shelf life, including the hype, right? As far as how much time before that shoe is no longer cool in the eyes of Instagram and showing it off. But yeah, I used to say this all the time. Before Instagram, even in the early Facebook stages, flexing shoes wasn't really a thing, right? You would have it on fit. That's cool. You wouldn't even really notice it. Nobody really took shoe shots. And if they did, they didn't pop like that. Once you had a photo sharing platform, shoes were a niche and people took advantage of it. All of a sudden you saw pages pop up. People started posting all their cool kicks, all their collections. If you look back through all, like I look back at some of my first Instagram posts. My first Instagram post is of shoes. My second Instagram post is of shoes. Every post from when I started my Instagram was to share my kicks because it was the one opportunity that I had to share it out to the world, right? So it created, what it did was it brought a subculture, which was sneakers, and brought it into the mainstream. Sneakers is, as much as we would love to say it's not, it is. It's completely mainstream.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Kids are doing it. Kids are excited about wearing it. Your neighbor George, he's got some Ultra Boosts in his closet right now that he mows the lawn in. Like shoes are a thing, and people
Yeah.
know about shoes. Like before, it was a thing where we didn't have to say anything. We saw you noticed, and you were like, "Yep." Now it's in your face, it's everywhere. You know, people talk about it in commercials. We see it implanted in media terribly, but we see it. Don't even get me started on how I think sneaker culture is portrayed in the media. That's just, I have words. But it's in your face, right? People, they will show shoes off so constant that we no longer have a subculture. Our subculture is a full-on mainstream pop culture. I'll take the grief, but we are pop culture now. People are in our shit. Look how
Yeah.
often people
Oh yeah.
will immediately talk about, you can tell when corny people start talking about it in a very corny way.
Yep.
You know what I
And
mean?
yeah, and the funny thing is, like, I appreciated Instagram sneaker content like originally because it kind of brought me back. That was kind of what brought me back to sneakers,
Yep.
right? It was like I saw, breads were coming out again, and that like pulled me back, right? So I wouldn't have seen that without Instagram. But at the same
Sure.
time, I think things Instagram and originally was a lot more organic than it is now,
Right.
right?
Right.
Like
Right.
everything wasn't sponsored posts or people were like seeding wasn't a thing, right? Like seeding wasn't a thing because brands, boutiques didn't know that like if I give this famous person a sneaker, like a million people are gonna see it and then want to buy it, right? So like
Right.
it wasn't a thing.
Before it became a marketing campaign, a
Yeah,
marketing tool.
yeah. And so like 2014, 2013, it wasn't a thing. And so it was nice because I could click on, the hashtag sneakers and I'd find like organic pictures of sneakers, right? Like
Right.
there's people that had them, that really liked them, that really appreciated them. And
Sure.
now if I do that, right, it's going to be like, oh, these are the highest, most liked pictures. These are the sponsored
Right.
posts. Oh, you like sneakers? Oh, you've looked at sneakers? Oh, you've
Sure.
hashtagged it in a picture? Oh, guess what? Now every other post is a sponsored post about, some sort of sneaker brand product or sneaker,
Right.
right? And so that's frustrating for me because I feel like you said, that made it pop culture, that made it mainstream. And
Hmm.
so, for me, I'm like, I don't know how organic things are now. I don't know if I buy a shoe, I don't know how organic that is. Like, I don't,
Absolutely.
and like I did, I bought shoes before, and it was organic, but now I don't know if the people that I mean, I think I know the people that I talk to are organically into
Right.
sneakers, but like some people aren't, right? And
Sure.
I've had people that I really that I've connected with, and they get like two or three pairs. They got like two or three pairs. Like there's one kid I know, he got a pair of the zebras right when they first dropped, and he flexed them forever, right, on Instagram. Every other post was, oh, the zebras, the zebras, the zebras, right? And he never got another shoe. He never got anything else, right? And I don't know if it was because it popped and he couldn't get anything, or because he didn't care, or because sneakers were so mainstream that was his way of flexing, so he had to do that, right? Because he
Right.
got lucky. And so I think there's so much of that that it kind of takes away from people who really want to like appreciate things. And like I think you said it before, like they're so obsessed with selling stuff that we don't have a time to appreciate something that comes out, right? Like a shoe drops and then next week another shoe's gonna drop. And it's like I just wanna enjoy the shoe for like 4 weeks. You know what I mean? Like
Absolutely.
I can only wear them so often, right? So like let
Right.
me enjoy this little time that I have with it before you make the world go crazy about something else.
Sure. Sure. Absolutely. Like before we got started, I got an email from UPS. It was a shoe being delivered. And it's funny because it wasn't a moment like, oh, my Jordans are arriving. It was a, what the fuck did I get? Right? What did I buy? Because it's such a constant thing. Like I can't remember what I bought last week because there's something, what's dropping next week or what's dropping this week. Something dropped today. You know what I'm saying? But tomorrow something else is dropping, and next week something else is dropping, and then next week something else is dropping. And the part that I have the hardest time with is pulling myself back from that, because it's easy to get caught in that. What's dropping next? Well, what's dropping next? If I took an L, what's next? What's next? What's next? And it sucks because at the same time, like we fall into that situation where I don't even care about half of these shoes. They really don't mean anything to me. But I got caught up in the buy hype and I start buying things. And then eventually I'm either left with a shoe that I don't care about. I'll trade it away or whatever. I have to do something with that shoe because it just takes up room in my living room because I don't even film them in time, right? I don't create content with it because it wasn't a shoe I really cared about anyway. And that's a frustrating point. So, and I was talking to a guy online who, chats with me here and there. And he was like, I need to get away from sneakers. I never hit. I find myself getting angry and getting frustrated, and I'm like, well, like step back. You don't need to not like shoes because of that. Like you're caught up in a buying frenzy. Step back and go focus on the collection that you actually want. I make a list of the shoes that I care about, the things that I missed out on. And when the blue Racer 3s mean nothing to me. I don't care that shoe's dropping. I don't want that shoe. So I'm going to focus my attention on a shoe that I've already missed on, or a past shoe that I have some sort of nostalgic feel towards, or something I care about, and try not to get caught up in exactly what's constantly being thrown in my face. And I'm trying to avoid that. I mean, it's hard as a sneaker content creator because I want to talk about the shoes that are coming out because they're in the limelight. But at the same time, like those shoes aren't that relevant to me as shoes that were I can talk passionately about a VX 1000 SB more than I can about a Racer 3, even though that shoe dropped months ago, right? There's so much more to it. When we get caught up on, forget it, what's next? Like the Unions are a cool shoe. They're not even in my hands yet. I don't even have them here. And we've already moved on to something else. Like we can't even appreciate that. Can we talk about that for a minute? Like let's enjoy this. Let's live in this moment for a second. But no, we already got the LeBrons dropping next week. We already have what's the next collaboration that's dropping? What's the next big shoe? Like we don't live in the now. We don't live in the current. We don't appreciate anything, right? It's always about who got them first, who's rocking them best, and then who's got the next one. Cool. Now those are gone. Like you already noticed, people are slowly starting to not talk about a certain thing, and we start focusing about the next one. And that's the frustrating thing for me, as well as what we were talking about, social media itself, right? I understand how frustrating it is, but at the same time, I don't want to play the gatekeeper role because we've all done it, right? We're like, well, you haven't been in shoes long enough to appreciate this, and you're like, but who am I to say that to somebody? And I don't want to be that guy. I want to roll with the punches as well. Where's the balance between a guy who's been in this game for a long time, holds it to a high regard, to a new guy who's just coming in, doesn't get it, but maybe wants to or is trying to exploit it, but like where do we draw the line where we're like, we can't be those dudes, we can't be those guys? Like that makes us look like the angry old head, right? You don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that guy. At the same time, I don't necessarily care what other people are doing. I just want to be able to get my shoes. So if we could fix that element of it, I would be extremely happy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I don't like being the gatekeeper either.
Mm-hmm.
I find myself slipping into it though. And so,
Absolutely.
for me, I think it's more of, again, not having enough time to appreciate a shoe. And, part of it is no one takes the time to like think about a shoe think about why they like it, why it matters. And brands don't
Facts.
have to do enough to sell you on a shoe, right? And
Mm,
I think that's part of the frustration for me is like, I'm old school. Like if I walk into a store, you need to provide some customer service. You need to like sell me
correct.
on something. I'm not here to just buy whatever because it's hot, right? Like you still need to sell me on that. You still need to give me some background, some detail. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
I I've always been like I'm also a car guy, so I've always been frustrated if I go to a car dealership and it's a sales guy and not a car guy talking to me. I'm like, I don't want
Absolutely.
to talk to you. Like I know more about this car than you know about this car. So don't try to sell me. I need you to talk about the product and I need you to
Right.
know the product, right?
Right.
And I feel like that is gone. And I think that's part of the frustration with sneakers, right? Is
Yep.
because so like Union fours. Union dropped a great Jordan 4, right? Two of them. And there's a story behind that shoe. There is a theme, there's an idea, about outdoors and being in the wilderness and all of
Right.
that. But most people don't know that. Most people that care about that want that shoe, most people that will sell that shoe or resell that shoe don't care. And so for me, I think that's a frustration, right? Is like that level of appreciation that you feel like other people don't bring to
Sure.
something that you care about, right? And so
Sure. Absolutely.
I'm like I want brands to do more to sell me on things or to do more to sell their product
Right.
besides I got this collaboration. I'm going to see 20 people that have 10 million followers.
Hmm.
I do have a story, but you'll never hear about it, and it doesn't really matter because it's all about selling out, or it's all
Absolutely.
about like getting eyes on it to sell out, right? And that kind of is what bums me out. Is like, I want people to appreciate something. I want people, and I feel like brands should want that too, right? Like
Right.
because there are some that do that they have a story, they have an idea, and they're gonna sell you on something, like concepts. Obviously, we talk about them a lot. Like
Yep.
Dion is going to
Yep.
sell you on it. Dion's going to come up with this whole thing. Their team is going to put something together. Sneaker Politics is going to do that. I think Lapstone and Hammer does that with their products. And there's a lot of like really
Sure.
small ground level brands that do that. And that now I just feel like I want I there is a level of appreciation for products that is sort of missing just
Right.
in a lot of products. And like that's why I think the Ama Maniere, their Jordan 3 this year was so like it was a great shoe, but the way they took the time to roll it out and make sure that people really, really absorb
Right.
and appreciated the meaning and the thoughtfulness behind the creation of the shoe. I mean, I thought that made that shoe that much better, right? And so
Absolutely.
people that bought it and people that got it, I was kind of like, hey, you got it. Like I felt like you knew why you bought it and you knew what the shoe was meant for, and that
Right.
was great.
But you're absolutely right. And I think that that's also missing from a consumer standpoint, right? Not just the company. I feel like a lot of people uh, don't necessarily show the culture itself or the the scene itself any real respect or admiration, if you will, right? Like there's no, you don't care. You just want the shoe and you want to flex it, right? You want to wear it, or you just want to say you have it, or you want to sell it, whatever it may be. There's no appreciation for the scene itself. Everybody wants to call me right now. All of a sudden, it's the whole thing. But there's no appreciation for this world at the moment, or not a deep appreciation for it. So you get a product, it's there, it's gone, you move on to the next one. And I'm like, come on, where is it at? Like relax, everybody. Uh, let's enjoy what we're getting. Let's really take the time to appreciate the product that we've gotten or that's being released. And like you said, the Alma Mater was a great way of doing it. It went to a lot of the right people. They took the time to do it right. We saw this release stretch for what, 4 weeks. You know what I mean? They took the time and it never fell apart, right? And the story never It never got weird. It never got crazy. But people appreciated it. And at the time it was over, I didn't feel terrible that I didn't get them right away. Right. I wasn't like, damn it.
Mm-hmm.
Or there was no angry head moment for me. It was more like, that's all right. Okay. I may still have another shot, or maybe I can get them there. Prices didn't go crazy because the release wasn't so bang, right? So you could get the shoe for resale at one point for $300. No, I mean, it rose, but you see shoes like right before it, the price hikes right after it drops because it's just so cut and dry, done, over. This one was so long, people had hope. There was the anticipation that you could get it, and then at that, like for some reason, people just kind of mellowed on the shoe, and it wasn't it because it was so spread out. There was no mad dash to make that you could dump this product at the highest number possible. So I don't know if that's because it was out, but to me, I think that was the biggest factor, is that the hope of still getting the shoe for retail, or the ability to still capture on the release, was always there. So people didn't freak out, right? So there wasn't this moment where resellers got the upper hand. Now they have the upper hand because the release is over, but it was elongated long enough that a lot of the people that really wanted this shoe got them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and that was cool.
And like the one thing that I always question, or I think about going back to like social media, is like, what would brands or boutiques do if Instagram went dark and you had
Panic.
a product? Like, what would you do? Like, how would you got 250,000 pairs of this shoe, right? That you did with Nike. Instagram doesn't exist. You got no influencers. What do you do? How do you move that product now? And so I always think like, okay, how do you create that organic connection, or do you have that organic connection with your customers so that you could move a product should, that you'll be all right should, this media ecosystem, dissolve or not be what it was, right? Because that seems to be like the hinge of everything, is like everything is leveraged off of social media. And so like if it seems crazy to be so reliant on social media to like move your product or to be relevant, or for your product to be relevant, right? And that is something that's kind of funny, because like you think about the 990, um and the director of the photography department at the school that I work at Yale, he's like, every time they release
Flex.
a new 990, I buy 2-3 pairs, right? He's like hardcore. Like, he doesn't care about like anything on social media. He pulls out a fresh pair as soon as the old pair starts getting a hole in it, and he's gonna buy the new pair no matter what, right?
Right.
And that's every pair. And he's had pairs for 20 years, right? So like, I'm like, how do you invest in that guy? How do you connect with that guy? Like, because I feel like, the social media bubble, I don't know if it's a bubble, but at the same time, like, I'm always like, I wish that they would invest beyond that,
Sure.
in terms of
But
like creating these relationships with their consumers that exist beyond me having to interact with Instagram, me having to interact with your app constantly. Like, you should be
right.
able to know, hey, David's going to buy this product, or David might be interested in this product. How do I get that to him without having to rely on Instagram, right? Without me having to put it on this $1 million, this million follower influencer so that he sees it.
Right. Well, we're starting to see a change in that now. Whether it's a bubble, I don't know. Whether it's a cycle, sure, right? Everything. I always see things, they go in a cycle, and maybe there's a time and a place where you have that, where you need the influencer. But I think the time of the influencer, the mega influencer, is coming, is changing. I don't really. I think now when you see a product being sold to you by a million person influencer, it doesn't have the same impact as a micro influencer. And I think we're starting to see the rise of the micro influencer, smaller scale. The 3,000, 4,000 person who has a genuine following, as opposed to a million, where we don't even really take those people seriously anymore, right? Because they're just, you look at them, they kind of have a stigma to them at this point, and that's, I don't know if that's good or bad, but I don't care what the million person follower, overly popularized person is really wearing, because everything they do is for money. That's how I interpret it, right? So do they actually like this product? I don't think so, but I know that they like that big ass paycheck. So how does that affect, like, right? You know what I'm saying? And that's the turnoff. But when I see a person like you and you're like, yo, I got the new 990, it's a dope shoe, I really like it, like that changes a perspective, because an influence is really carried by you, right? Because I actually care about your opinion. Now, the girl from TikTok who does dances and she wants to wear the 990, that's fine. I That means nothing to me. Zero, because again, I don't know if it's the money that's influencing her to put it on. Does she actually wear this product? So there's too many questions, too many variables for me to care, and to really understand their motives or care about their motives. So to me, like the time of the influencer themselves is kind of is going that way, while the focus on people that are more real, and you can genuinely see that that they care about these products, that they actually use these products, that matters to me. If somebody asks me why do I like Nike, like I'm going to tell you why I like Nike, and I have the resume for that opinion to matter. I'm not a guy who Nike paid $1 million to say wear the TM Nike da 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 da, because I don't know anything about him. But guess what? I like them, and I think you should like them too. Like, if you're paying me, what? How is that? What do you actually like this shoe? I've never seen you wear a Nike before. I've never seen you wear anything. You actually really like Adidas. I've seen you wearing Adidas many times in all your videos. So what you're selling me is bullshit, and I don't like that, because now I can tell that you're selling me a product as opposed to really genuinely influencing me on a product that you seem to really care about. And that's where that's what I see happening. The micro influencer is much more important right now than the mega influencer, at least to our demographic, right? Maybe the younger kids still really gravitate towards the guys that have the million following because hopes and dreams. But as a more of an adult, more of I'm not even going to say an optimist, more of a realist. Like I feel like I see the bullshit a little bit more. So when I know that you're being paid to tell me that you really like bubbly water, even though you've never drank or I've never seen you do it, like, okay, cool. What was that check like? Was it good? I bet you taste that check, because I drink these regularly. And if I tell you it's good and you've seen me drink these and you've seen them in my videos and you've seen them in my hand, like that's different, right? That hits different, because you're like, oh shit, no. No, he really does like this. He really is involved in this product. And that's what I think a lot of brands miss on, is use your loyal fan base, your loyal customers to push your product, because they will do it gladly.
Yeah.
Right. And people will actually believe them. You're not going to tell me that some mega influencer who literally does not wear this product is actually in love with this product all of a sudden, and that paid ad at the bottom is going to dissuade me right away. Now, if yours said paid ad, but it was still New Balance, like, I get that. I understand why they would pay to do that, because you should get paid for your influence as well, or for the work that you're doing, right? Because if you are taking the time to make a video, to make a post, that takes effort, that takes time. And if you're being paid to do that, that's, I understand that. That's validated for me, because work is work. But you genuinely care and you
Yeah.
genuinely involved. So
Yeah.
I can believe you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I think the time of the micro influencer is now.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like influencers have always been around, right? But I don't know if I'm being as naive about them as, as other generations were probably about us during the 90s, right? Like, because I think we did get I mean, when I was in my 20s, I didn't get sold on stuff, but like when I was in my teens, and you know, I felt like I got sold on stuff by, everybody wanted Jordans because of Michael Jordan. Everybody wanted, McDonald's because of Michael Jordan.
Yeah,
Everyone,
we were
you know,
impressionable.
yeah. I mean, and so like I don't. It's weird to me to think about today's youth and look at them and go, are they really so different from us? Like I don't know, but at the same
No.
time, I'm always like, the people that we looked up to, or the people that influenced us, they always did something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and so I don't know if that's the shift of like, the influencer or the people that are getting products and selling you products. That's it. That's what they're good at. That's their
Hmm.
job. That's what they're famous for, right? Or that's what
All
they're
right.
popular for. They're not popular because they've really accomplished anything. I don't know. Like, is getting
They're
followers
popular.
accomplishments? Maybe. But like, we never got sold when we were younger. It felt like we never got sold anything that, you know, by anyone that didn't do anything. There were spokespeople, but that's like QVC. We don't watch
Right.
QVC. Nobody watches
Right.
QVC, right? But
Right.
that's literally what Instagram influencers are now, right? It's like they're
Right.
like they're like
They're commercials.
QVC for real life.
Yeah, they're commercials. And that's not, I'm not trying to hate on influencers. I just, like, you do you, and I'm glad it's working out for you, and I'm glad that you're able to monetize that. I hope everybody eats. I want everybody to eat, and I want everybody to do well. But as far as like an authenticity standpoint, it's hard for me to believe you, like, if a person is selling me a vegan drink and I know that you're not a vegan, you don't have any real, I mean, sure, maybe you work out or you do some things here, but this isn't the life you live. Like, I'm gonna read bullshit, and I'm not gonna be interested in your opinion on the matter, because I understand that you're just sold out to make some money. And that's cool, make your money. But as far as me buying that product, I don't. It's not gonna happen. Now, if you have a guy like, a designer, who's on the rise, like Salehi, that's different for us to follow, because we've seen his resume. It's come, as he's grown, and now he's getting his opportunity to shine. I want to be a part of that. Did I get sold? Probably. You know what I mean? But I'm okay with that, because he has a resume, and he has now his artistic perspective is coming out, and I want to see it, and I want to be involved in it. Now,
Mhm.
that's a sale I can be down with. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
For a guy who's
yeah.
making a lot of things. But if it's a person who has 5 million followers, and what they do is trick shots, and their trick shots are really cool, but now you want to tell me that the coolest car in the world is a Honda Civic? uh cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's great. I'm glad they paid you, but unless you're selling me on a Spalding basketball and how easy it is to make that shot, your opinion is irrelevant, because you don't live in that space. So the more you live in that space, the more I'm willing to understand your perspective on it and actually take the time to take you seriously. But again, I don't know if that comes with age, and I'm not as impressionable as I was in my teens. So maybe I'm just being more cynical.
No, I think as you get older, like you time is more valuable, right? You have less time. And I also think like when you have kids, like your time is even more valuable. There you go, girl dads, right? Like, for me, I'm always like, okay, I don't have time for, I don't know, this fluff. I need some like substance, right?
Sure.
And um again, that's why I think I gravitate towards the product and things that are and things that are product driven or
Right.
story driven, things like that. And
Hmm.
because I want my daughter to do that. I want her
Sure.
to like gravitate towards things that have substance.
Right.
Because I think when you're a parent, there's nothing like more frustrating to you when like, and your daughter's a little bit younger than mine, but my daughter is like, she'll be like, I want this or I want that. Oh, we need to get this or we need to get that. Like right now, she's obsessed with Alexa, right? She's like, we need Alexa. We need Alexa. And like, we bought a Fire Stick for the living room and it has Alexa in it, right? And she's like telling we got an Alexa, we got Alexa. And I'm just like, we don't need Alexa. like, like
Uh,
I don't need Alexa. You need to understand that this doesn't matter, that this doesn't mean anything, right? And
right.
so I think when you're a parent, you have to draw more lines of distinction between the things that matter and the things that don't. And so like it makes you more like, well, I can't be into this. I can't invest in this. I can't spend time on this because
Right.
then my kid is gonna think, hey, that's okay. It's okay to waste time on this or waste time on that.
Right.
It's bad enough that we like love shoes so much, right? And have so many sneakers. Like at the very least, I have to invest some time in making them valuable and having some reasonable explanation for why Daddy has 150 shoes. Like, well,
But
this pair. this band means this and has this meaning,
Right.
and this is why I really like it, and this is why I had to buy it, right? Like if I don't do that, then she might go out in the world and be on the pole eventually, and that's and that
Oof.
that's the last thing we want, right?
Right. Right. I mean, at the same time, we are part of the generation that bought pet rocks and we had Digimons. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
what,
What were you
what?
thinking? Yeah.
So we've come a long way. Now we're just obsessed with sneakers, right? So we haven't come. I mean, we've come far, but not all that far. Yeah, and as far as like social media marketing and basically being sold, like I look at it in three ways, and the things that I like, right? If I'm on social media, the three things that I look forward to are entertainment, whether your content's entertaining, right? So if you're selling me a product and in an entertaining perspective, I'm going to probably pay more attention to it. Whether it's informative, if you're going to teach me something, right? Or educational, right? Or if you're going to take me on a long story ride where I'm going to learn something else. Those are the ones that I look forward to. And the guys who maximize on that keep my attention, and I take them more seriously, and I'm willing to buy. So like doing little dance moves, that's cool. That's entertaining. You know what I mean? But as I see people, especially with the line of work that I do, the more the storytelling is heightened, the more I'm more interested in it. Or if I can see the work and I can wonder how you did it, and if I can do the same thing like that's going to get me. There's a person on Instagram that I follow, and she's an editor of sorts. She's a content creator, but she does these crazy edits with these 360 cameras. And I paid attention to her immensely for a while. Like, how did you make these cuts? And I figured them out. But she was selling a product for a 360 camera, and I bought it based on the content, not because it was entertaining, it was informative, it was educational. That sold me. That was cool. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the way I try to approach things. So the and she didn't have a million followers. She
Yeah.
has a lot now, but at the time she didn't have that. Her following wasn't as big, and that was cool. You know what I mean? Like I paid more attention to her than to GoPro, right? GoPro they're doing their magnificent things, but at the same time, that's what I expect from them. So if they give it to another photographer who is really well known, like show me what you're capable of doing with the product, and show me. And as long as I can believe the fact that you are involved in this world, then I'm going to probably buy the product, right? So unless you don't live in that space, like I never understand where they put. Some of these people have the weirdest things that they influence or that they sell. I'm like, you don't what? Why are you pushing that product? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. People believe this?
I know.
Whose marketing guy thought this was a good collaboration? You know what I mean? Like, these are terrible.
I know.
Um, like, and this was what really bothers me about sneaker culture. I'm sorry, I've gone a long way to get there. Is the people that they use to influence shoes. Like, this culture sniffs out bullshit so fast. We are an authentic culture, because we try to be so authentic and so in the know, like we sniff out crap right away. So if we can tell that you're part of this scene, you get called on it. You get called on it quickly. So when you see people that you're like, you don't, why did Nike send this guy shoes? Why did Adidas give? You're not even in this space. It's insulting, and it leaves a sour taste in your mouth because there's a lot of haters. There's a lot of people who hate on everyone, especially in sneakers. Whoa, we are a hater bunch. But you know what I'm saying? Like, you should see one of my comments, dude. Like, I can't, like, some of the things people say, I'm like, what?
I see. I see it.
How
I
did
see
you,
it.
where did this come from? You know what I'm
I
saying?
see
Like, this
it.
is insane. But like, imagine if you're a guy selling a product and you're not in this space, you're going to get it 8 times worse, right? Because no one's going to believe you. So first of all, Nike, why were you seeding these people? Foot Locker, why are you seeding these people? There are people that deserve it and people that don't. And just because they have a million followers is cool. But if they're not a part of the space, you did yourself a disservice, because we don't care about that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like there are voices in the sneaker culture. Use those. I don't need Charlie D'Amelio or whatever these people's names are that do certain things to invade a space that they know nothing about. Because for one, you're appropriating a culture, and for two, you're not real. You know what I'm saying? And that just
Yeah.
makes people towards a brand. Like, why? Like, for as much as people, I mean, think about when Kylie Jenner had her Adidas line, right? Like, why Kylie? not to take anything, and I'm not hating on her, but from a sneakerhead perspective, Travis was doing his thing, she was doing hers. Like, there are other people that matter in this space more that would have got you a better return on your money. I'm sure you had to pay a lot of money to get her, and that's cool. I'm glad she got her dollars and cents, but we don't take her seriously in the space. Not true sneaker people. You know what I'm saying? The casual sneaker person, maybe, or the people that like her, not cool. And again, I'm not dissing. This is not me attacking her. I'm attacking the marketing element behind these things, right? Or anybody, or any major star that gets a shoe brand. Like, there are people that we will follow. There are people in the space that their opinions matter, and there are people that don't. And just because they're rich and have a lot of money and have a big following does not make me want to engage in that product. Those shoes always fail. They do crap. If Beyonce she's a huge person, but her line doesn't always sell out. Everything doesn't go right away. But Futura does a dunk, gone. You see what I'm saying?
It's so I think about this, and this is like for me where sort of resale comes in, right? Because I think that the issue with resale is that resale sort of overinflates the popularity of a product, right? Because resellers are
Sure.
always pursuing everything, right? And so, yeah, it
Right.
may sell out and the price may drop for resale, but it's still, the brand doesn't, for all intents and purposes, they don't see that. They only see that the product sold and that it's gone, right? So,
Right.
so whereas like, 15, 20 years ago, they were more likely to do, say, okay, we're going to take 15 people, give them all, $10,000 and do, different colorways, 15 different colorways. Now they're more likely to say, I'm going to give this person $200,000 because they have a lot of followers,
Right.
and I'm going to give them one sneaker. And that sort of that sort of ruins the market, right? Because it's like, for me, I like the idea of 15 different choices, and then everyone has to sort of differentiate and figure out which one they want and which one they resonate to, or which one they like, right? And
Right.
that doesn't happen anymore, right? So, like, you get like Travis Scott, he drops one shoe and it's a million pairs or half a million pairs of one shoe, and
Sure.
everyone has to either like that shoe or that's it, right? And
But
everyone's
that's it.
going
But
for that shoe. Resellers are all going to get everything
I feel
that
like that's
isn't bought by consumers, and then when they go to resell it, the price is crazy. So then Nike is like, well, this model works, rather than it
right.
really having to compete on the market and go out there and convince actual buyers or consumers to buy it. The resellers sort of take up that space where
Sure.
real consumers would normally be, or
But
wouldn't be.
that's where
And
it takes me back to the authenticity element of it, right? Like Travis was proven, right? He went first. He did really well when they gave him the Vapor Max, and he slowly built up. He built a crazy hype for SBs, and eventually, he's on his own on a whole nother step. But what I was getting at more, and this is where resale kind of highlights what I was getting at, is that Kendall Jenner had a shoe line. Kendall Jenner's shoe line sat in most boutique stores for the longest time. It didn't sell out instantly. It didn't go because people did not. We don't care, right? The sellout market, when people sell out for sneakers and hype sneakers, because they have an attachment to either the artist, the brand, or whatever. When a person like Travis who wears sneakers, I can understand why his shoes would go fast or why sneakerheads would be invested, because for one, he wears shoes, so he's in the space and you want an attachment to it. Kendall Jenner is not a sneakerhead. I don't give a damn how many shoes Kanye gave her. Or maybe she is, but not in our world. In our space, she's not taken seriously. She's a model and she's an actress. She's not a shoe person. So her shoe sat, and they sat. And eventually they did sell out. It took time, but it wasn't an instant moment because we didn't care. They gave it to the wrong person. You know what I'm saying? But if it was Kanye, who is a proven commodity or a proven name, his stuff always sells out and it goes quickly, right? So when you give people who don't necessarily, I use this term loosely, deserve a line only because you want to market this person as a person that messes with your company. Like, that doesn't do well. It never has. And I don't care if there's a rapper. I mean, we've seen shoes like I can still walk into certain stores right now and I will find Beyonce's Adidas, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, those are still there, but you're not going to find a Travis anywhere, because they're not necessarily a part of this culture, not in the way that we talk about shoes, right? We take sneakerhead people more seriously because they're involved in it. Don C stuff sells because he's in the shoes. Yeezys was wearing shoes. We can take him seriously. Kanye. But if you gave like Adidas failed with many rappers prior to that. A lot of Pusha T stuff didn't sell right away either. They had oh my God, what's her name? She's married to Iman Shumpert.
Oh, Tiana.
I'm sorry. Thank you. Tiana had her own line. It didn't do well. It doesn't always go hand in hand, right? It doesn't. And again, and it's not because these people aren't popular. It's just because they don't. For us to believe that if you're selling me I need to believe that you're a part of it. And I think that's for most people, because she's got a huge following. You know what I'm saying? Drake has a huge following. Kanye has a huge following. Like, Kendall has an enormous following, but her shoes did not sell out right away. Yeah. Beyonce is the queen bee. Her shoes didn't sell out all the way because she's not necessarily, that was for like the commercial buyer, the people who are infatuated. Those were for her fans, not for us, people in the shoe culture. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, and that's where resale proves it, because those shoes don't resell. Those shoes didn't get bought. Those shoes sat on shelves, right? Yeah. Yeah. Because there's no want, there's no demand for it. You gave me something I didn't want. What I want is the next cool shoe from Kanye West that's gonna blow my mind. I do not need Kylie Jenner's NMD.
Yeah,
because it means it. I have no attachment to it.
I also think that there are a lot of missed opportunities, and I think Nike has done a good job. New Balance has done a really good job too. Although recently they've kind of sort of drifted into the mainstream, but like going out and getting like that talent or that artist or that person that we didn't think about, or that we weren't really, obsessed with, and sort of putting them on. And so like, I think brands don't do enough of that. Like Salehi, right? Salehi was a big deal, obviously, but he wasn't a big deal in our space like that until very recently, right? Until New Balance put him on. And, I think Nike does the same thing every once in a while, like Melody Asani, Aleli May. All of those shoes, like really great shoes, right? And I think they don't, and maybe behind the scenes they do, take the opportunity to bring in a ton of cool people, have them create something, and then, do like more market research where they're bringing in, sneakerheads to see what they think of different shoes, right? Like, I don't think that they do enough of that. I don't think I see enough of that. I think it's more about like trying to create a product that they can sell to a already established consumer base, or already established, following, that exists, because Travis Scott has a following. They're trying to sell to that, and they're trying to sell to Kylie Jenner's, fan base. So,
right?
Like,
and
for me, I don't
from a marketing standpoint, that makes complete sense.
Yeah, like,
you know what I mean? Like,
I don't want that though. I think it's nice. I think it's cool. I think it's interesting to do something where there isn't that much of a cohesive, solid fan base following, and create something organic, right? Like Cause had a following in art, right? But his following didn't necessarily translate to sneakers, but they did a cool sneaker, and they did something really cool with it. And so that made what he had done, in the art world relevant, and that brought two worlds together, and that created a more cohesive fan base for him, because now he has other stuff. But like, I think that's always cool for me. I always like when they bring like this niche small fan base, or this niche artist, and bring them to the masses on a
Right.
bigger scale. And I think it's a missed opportunity that a lot of brands don't take. They want the established, like, New Balance. It was a cool shoe, but the Bape 2002 R is like, I
Cool
liked
shoe.
it. It was cool, but I didn't need that. Like, I don't
Mhm.
need you to go to Bape. Like, that was just I felt like it was very lazy. Like, I feel like it's just like going to the well and like giving people,
Yep.
something that is unimaginative. Not
Right.
not because it was not because it's, I understand you guys have never worked there before, but Bape has this established fan base and they're always going to have their fanboys that are going to go and buy everything. So,
Sure.
like, it felt like not a lot of work to
Right.
do that, to make that product,
Mhm.
and then to try to get people to buy it. Like, so
Right.
like I would rather have seen you go and find some boutique or some store, in California or in New York or Dallas or wherever, and like give them a shot at doing something.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the thing. Like when you Nike's been really good about finding talent or creators or people who do creative things to do products with that transcend just their space. Cause obviously completely he's a great artist and amazing artist for years. And a lot of people think of his the four, but that's not where it started. The relationship with Cause and Nike was long before that. He
Yep.
Air
Air
years.
Max.
So
Yep.
Air Max, two different Air, you know what I mean? Like he done Vans as well. So like he's been in this space for a while. And it's great to see that. We see guys, the one thing that they all have in common is that they're in one way or another attached to street culture or to sneaker culture and whatever, however you want to call it. Laylee May is in this space. Meliasani is in this world where we all kind of live in together, and it expands outwards, and that's what I like to see. That's the things that I enjoy. That's why the Joe Freshgoods is such a cool thing because he's been here, right? He's
Yep.
been here, so it's cool to see him in his perspective on a traditional shoe. Um, Salehi's journey from working with Yeezy to how he got to Versace and then how he ended up leaving and what he's doing now. That's interesting. That's cool. It's a story to be told. And again, a guy who's been in this space, right? So when you bring somebody from outside the space to make it seem as if they've been in this space, that's where the inauthenticness gets called out. And that's when the product fails. And it's obvious.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I feel like that's the big thing, is just seeing authentic product and seeing authentic people create it, right, and share it.
Sure.
And there's a loss of that because sneakers is so mainstream, it's so popular that, like, brands are at this peak of, like, man, I gotta make something that, like, will sell a million pairs because the
Yep.
bar is so high, right, on what they on the number of products that they have to sell. And it's like exponential growth all the time, right? Like, you can't do a
Mm-hmm.
15,000 pair run or 1,000 pair run anymore, and have some cool artists do something, right? Because that doesn't satisfy the consumer base. It's not going to really make you any money. It's just going to anger people, you know and
But it builds immense hype.
yeah. But I think I would like to see, like, more small limited runs, but like do like 10 of them at once, right? Like,
Spread them
drop
out.
10 Jordan. What they do, they did that collection with the mids, like, last year, right? With
Yeah.
the year before, 2019, fall 2019.
2019, 2019, 2019. Yeah.
Yeah, with, like, Blue the Great and all those people. And that was
Yeah.
dope. Like, I like to see that because it's like you gave me a ton of different products. I knew everyone wasn't going to get everything, but I felt like I could have got something. I didn't necessarily gravitate towards everything in the collection, but it was cool to see everyone sort of get their own, like, different take on stuff and
Right.
offer it to consumers. Those people's followings got a little boost. Those people were able to, showcase their talent, and then
Sure.
the consumer got a chance at seeing something cool, and you sort of confused
Absolutely.
resellers because they didn't
Right.
know
Like
what
I
to
mean, I
buy.
was able to. I mean, we it was cool here because I got the Blue the Greats and Blue came to town, and he signed mine, like he did his artwork on it, and he did it on the box. That was dope. I was like,
It's awesome.
this was interactive. This was great. Like I met the person, I saw his art. I went because of it. I bought more of his art. You know what I mean? Like I got to know a young artist who is awesome, and he was able to get his own Jordan. And then he got to like I probably won't wear mine anymore because he did his thing on them. Like those are dope. You know, I enjoyed that, and I like that. Again, that's actually back to storytelling and just the process of it as a whole that makes it really cool. But you know,
Yeah.
nowadays that's no longer the case. Now it's just about push product as fast as possible. Hell, you walk into stores that you don't even really go into that often. They don't even say a word for you. It's what size? All right, bye.
Yeah. Yeah,
You know what I'm
exactly.
saying? Like, sick, bro. This is great. I'm glad we got to talk.
The last thing that I wanted to just kind of talk about, which kind of ties back into the Blue the Great, is that tangibility, right? I think there's
Right.
a loss of that, right? I don't think I get to interact with enough products and like have to make a decision. I remember being a kid and having to go and you get your foot measured, you know, and they want to know, okay, well, we have this and this and a 10 and a half or an
Yeah.
11 or whatever, right? And you're
Right.
like, oh, I got to make this decision. And, you know, having a shoe in hand and feeling it and looking at it, like, I will tell you, I will go to a Foot Locker and I will see stuff on the wall and I will take it down and it completely changes my perspective on that shoe,
Sure.
having it in hand and seeing it in hand and not having anyone around me or a screen in my face telling me what I think of that shoe. And I think that
Right.
there's something to be said about like tangibility, not only in that sense, but also in the fact that there are so many shoes out and a lot of collaborations. I am more invested in a shoe if I can interact with the collaborator or that collaborator feels like they're more tangible or more
Right.
relatable. Again, going back to the authenticity, but like, you know, if I DM someone and I ask them a question about a shoe or a brand about a shoe and they respond or they like a picture, that like to me that like changes my
It's a
perspective.
win. It's a dub. Absolutely. Absolutely. It feels like it's that thing, that need for community in this whole space. And if the creator responds to me and like we can have a dialogue on it, like I'm so much more interested in the product because like you are telling me, you're not selling me necessarily. Like I don't feel like this is a commercial or you're begging me to buy anything, but it's more like this is why I did it. I get an understanding at the same time. I get what you're saying. Like when I walking into a Foot Locker, I'll change my mind and shoot just having it in hand because it's not a produced photo. It's not an edited photo. It hasn't been stylized. I walk into it, I see it, I look at it, I'm like, I could wear this way, this way, or this way, or this shoe's trash. I really don't like it. Like now I don't have to waste my time with it. Those were the days, my friend. Those were the days.
But
That does not happen anymore.
I also like going into a store. It's funny because like I go into a couple of shops and I will feel I don't say I feel bad, but like if there's if you have a guy on the floor and that person is really like, hey, what's up, man? Oh, I like your shoes, and like they walk you through products on the floor, you feel like I want to make, you know, I want to buy something. Like I want to help
Yeah,
this guy out. This guy, you know, like
absolutely.
he's invested in me. I'm gonna invest in him. Like let's do this.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
there's that camaraderie that happens like in a sneaker store that doesn't happen anymore, right? With a raffle or
Yeah.
with like something else. And so it's really interesting that like that has gone away and
You knew the
it
dude.
has gone up. Like seeker sales
Yeah.
have gone up, right? It's not gone the other way. You would think it would.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me.
Yep. I mean, you used to walk. You had your guy at the sneaker shop, and you'd walk in and you'd be like, "What up? What up?" You know,
Yeah.
like, what are we looking at? Or you know, he would fill you in on details. Yo, you got to check these out. These just came in and get you.
Yep.
That was my Instagram. That was my hype moment, right? That was when the guy would walk up and be like, "Yo, Pete, we just got these in the new colorway. Check it out. Hold on, I'll bring them out for you." You see them for the first time, and you're like, "Damn, you're right. These are dope, right?" Or, "Yeah, nah, these aren't it." You know what I'm saying? Well, you would have that conversation. That space, that interaction is no longer there. Like I knew if I was going into a Foot Locker at the Aurora Mall, who I was going to talk to, who knew I was going to be there, or the guy that was expecting me because he knew. I know that I saw some, that this shoe was releasing on this day and it was coming to the store because we had talked about it. Like those things, that was dope. I loved that. You know what I'm saying? Or when they would open up the gate because we're camping and it was 5 people in line. My camp out was 5 people, 4 of them being my friends. You know what I mean? And camping was like at 5 a.m. and they'd open the store and you'd walk in and they'd know us by name because they're like, yo, we didn't get your size. You know what I mean? Like those are the kind of like those were the intimate moments that you would have, and it made the experience so much more exciting. And a lot of the retros that I care about are because of situations that took place in the sneaker shop 20 years ago, right? Whether or not that shoe was there, or I missed out on it, or my size wasn't available, or I bought it, enjoyed it, came back about a second pair. Those things were cool. Now e-commerce has kind of blown that out of the water, and we've become such an unsocial bunch. You know what I mean? Like we don't like to interact. And I got older. I don't care for certain things anymore, right? But like talking shoes.
Is going to the sneaker store?
No, I don't. Yes and no. Like not for me. That's my favorite thing to this day. Like I want to talk shoes, and that's because I like shoes, right? I like talking about sneakers. Yeah. Sneakers as a whole. We can have this conversation for the entire day, Dave, and I won't get tired of it. And neither would you. That's why we do this. Other stuff, sure, I want nothing to do with the conversation from those things. The things that I'm passionate about, I want to talk shoes. So if I walk into a sneaker shop, I can loiter there all day long and talk shoes if the conversation is cool, right? Or the next person walks in, you have that barbershop vibe to it. And I mean, the pandemic put things into perspective, and for a lot of people, and a lot of people miss social interaction because of it, or now they just dread it because they don't need it anymore. And a lot of it has come down to how e-commerce works. Now you get your shoes by dealing with an app. I don't have to talk to a person anymore. If the shoe shows up and it sucks, damn, that sucks. Now you got to deal with the hassle of getting rid of it, and I don't even know if there's a phone number to call to return a shoe on an app. I don't do that stuff, which is weird. You know what I mean? But like before, if you didn't like the shoe, you wanted to take it back, you walked in and you had a conversation about it. Oh, you don't like these? What do you mean? You don't like these? Are great, right? Or whatever it may be, or vice versa, the conversation. These aren't as cool as I thought they were. I wish they would have had these. Well, let's trade it out for another pair, right? Those things it's not there anymore. And I think that's a big reason why the culture kind of is what it is. You know what I mean? There's just no excitement or passion behind it anymore from a consumer standpoint anymore. Like now you'll literally walk in, if you win a raffle for something at a store, you'll walk in, that conversation with that salesperson is basically non-existent. It's, what are you doing? I'm picking up, I hit it up, dope. Okay, let me grab your size. What's your name? Here you go. They see you later. And the next person's already walking in for their pair, so they're just trying to get you out of the store. You know what I'm saying? Like that there's very few stores, like some of the boutique shops that I go to still cater towards that. And that's cool, but like the other stores aren't. A lot of stores don't do that anymore. Or at least I feel like, are we bugging? Are we hanging out here too long? Like, we don't have the same interests.
No, I know. I kind of miss it. And, I'm hoping I can do like more in-person sneaker browsing, sneaker shopping in the future, especially as I like try to transition or try to just go after more things that like everyone is sort of ignoring, because I feel like that's my lane. And in a lot of ways, I'm kind of forced there, but at the same time, I also want to be there because I want to, I want to have an authentic relationship with sneakers. And I feel like if I'm sold something online, I don't know if I necessarily, appreciate it really, or if I appreciate it because it was sold to me. So, I look forward to seeing what happens, and hopefully I can.
And adapting to this ever-changing sneaker world we're in. So like, I mean, some things are just not coming back, and we have to accept that. So we have to find the excitement in the other elements of it, and the other perspectives. Like social media sucks because it has diluted sneakers, but at the same time, I've been able to reach people that I would have never spoken to about shoes. You know what I'm saying? Like, how would I have ever met? Right. So like, I like to look at the positive influences that it's also has. It is mainstream, but now I know so many more people that are into shoes like I am, and that's great. And I appreciate that. And now I'm able to converse with these people that are people that I don't know them, if we saw each other in person. But I know you through Instagram. Our conversations are great, or whatever. Or now because of that, if I see you out in public, I know we have a relationship built on the same things that we both enjoy based on a platform that has exploited our seed.
I know, and there's a lot of stuff that I don't, that I liked before social media. Like I liked runners. I've always liked runners. I've always thought they were dope. Like,
Right.
for me growing up, I remember when Asics dropped the first couple gel lights and the neon colorways. Like kids in my neighborhood had them because they were super cheap to get,
Sure.
and we couldn't afford the Nikes. And so I remember that. Like that's ingrained in me. So like for me, I've always liked runners. And yeah, as I grew up, as I got older, as people started to get money, everybody went for Nike and everybody went for basketball shoes. And for me, it was like, that's cool. But I always got confused with a basketball kid. People would be like, oh, you're so tall, you play basketball, huh? Or like, they'd be like, if my mom or my sister took me to get sneakers, it'd always be basketball shoes. So I never got to pick out what I wanted to pick out. So that always turned me off a little bit. And so, social media really connected me with people that wear runners or wore runners. And it's kind of like, oh, now I don't have to feel so bad about like what I like. And there's a community for that, and there's people that support it and understand and are in the same vein as I am. And so that's always, I think that's been like one of the blessings of social media is it's given so many of us, communities that we haven't necessarily had, organically, in our real lives, real day-to-day lives.
Sure.
That's always, that's always sort of the blessing of it.
Absolutely. Our reach became global.
Yeah. I gotta go pick up my daughter in like 5 minutes.
All right, word up.
But I appreciate you jumping on and
Always
chopping it up one-on-one. We gotta do something. We gotta get some more group people on and talk about. We gotta run back that Nike conversation, I think, or do like a summer best summer shoes, something.
Let's do it. I'm up for all of the above.
Yeah. I'll hit you up. When are you going to Missouri?
I leave Sunday, but I'll be Saturday.
Oh, okay.
It's just a week.
I got you.
So I'll just be gone for a week.
We'll set something up.
All right, homie. Well, I'll talk to you later.
Yeah. Go.
Later, buddy.
Go have some fun with that little girl.
Yeah, I can hear her screaming now.